In the final PMQs before Christmas, Rishi Sunak tried to deny responsibility for the NHS crisis and then brought shame on the country over refugees. He starts with a manipulation technique that his government loves to use, which is presenting the public with a false binary choice as if there are only two options.
If he thinks the strikes are wrong, he should say so. If he thinks it's right that pay demands of 19% are met, then he should say so.
Actually, the Royal College of Nurses have said that they'll call off the strikes if the government agrees to meet with them to discuss pay. So the government doesn't actually have to meet the 19% increase in pay that the strikers are asking for, they just have to agree to try and meet somewhere in the middle. And on NHS waiting times...
What he always fails to acknowledge is the impact that COVID did, Mr. Speaker. That's why we're facing pressure.
At the start of the pandemic, there were already 4.4 million people on the NHS waiting list. Now it's 7.3 million. So of course COVID has made things worse, but it's wrong to say that COVID is the reason why we're facing pressures. And that's just been backed up by a report that the Tory government actually commissioned. 4 people were just found dead in the English Channel, and while their identities haven't been made public yet, Home Office figures show that the vast majority of people who cross the Channel are from countries where there's a legitimate reason to flee. So listen to what was said in response to that.
After the Second World War, Winston Churchill sent British Conservative lawyers to help to draft the European Convention on Human Rights. But in an age of mass migration, the ECHR is now limiting our ability to control our borders. We must be prepared to leave the ECHR.
So you're saying that in response to the Holocaust, where to put it mildly, the human rights of people deemed to be foreigners were abused, countries created international systems to prevent that. And now you're saying that we need to leave that system in order to restrict the human rights of foreigners. On top of that, the United Nations Refugee Agency says that the 1951 Refugee Convention was born out of the Holocaust in order to protect people who are fleeing persecution, including a rule that you're not allowed to penalize people for entering your country illegally as long as they apply for asylum within a reasonable period of time. And what does Rishi Sunak say?
Our new legislation will deliver a system whereby a person who comes here illegally will have no right to stay.
1. The Home Secretary just admitted that the failure to provide safe and legal routes to claim asylum in the UK is the reason why people are forced to risk their lives in the Channel. 2. That MP just reminded you of the historical reasons why international human rights laws are important for keeping refugees alive. 3. 4 people just died because of your failure to provide safe ways to claim asylum in the UK and your internationally unlawful hostility towards refugees, and your response was, yeah, more of the same please. Merry Christmas to everyone who isn't you.